What's going on, everyone? So there's already several teams that are starting to pop up that, teams like Toronto. Recently did a video on Toronto. Brooklyn definitely wants to maintain flexibility. They may look to get off of some guys as we inch closer to the trade deadline. And that's not counting the, 8 other teams this trade deadline that end up wanting to get off of salary and get off of guys. We've already seen expiring contracts are kind of keen right now. Teams want to maintain flexibility. Teams want to get off of guys. The buyout markets became more prevalent than it's ever been, right? You've always had guys getting bought out, but not to the level in which we've seen this offseason, especially in the offseason, right? Usually you have the buyout market post-trade deadline when guys are trying to make some decisions, but it just kind of feels like the buyout market's going to kind of be that new pool for teams, right? Like, I've talked about it. I think you're going to have, trades, free agency, and then we're going to have hey, here's a list of the 5 potential buyouts this season, because there's always going to be that team that just wants to get out of a contract or needs to get off of a guy or whatever. Hopefully it's, fewer teams having to do the wave and stretch over 5 years and paying guys $20 million a year, a Damian Lillard or a Bradley Beal situation. But, for the Lakers, right, it's very possible that something gets done this offseason. I think it's kind of looking more and more likely that the Lakers are going to hold off until the trade deadline, which I'm not against at all. Do want to keep in mind, though, Lakers, we've seen over the years, it'll be dead silent, and then boom, a trade will end up happening. We're all like, whoa, where did that come from? Or you get my favorite, or when we get the reports that are like, Lakers are just going to stand pat, nothing's coming, nothing's going to happen. And then 48 hours later, we trade for Dorian Finney-Smith, and then, fast forward, what was it, a month or whatever, and then all of a sudden it was Lakers are good where they're at, fine with Dorian Finney-Smith and everything, and then I'm on a live stream and Luka Doncic ends up getting traded, right? So, again, crazy things happen. But, I do think that the Lakers probably go into the season, which I'm fine with, right? Take your time, evaluate, because right now the glaring holes are the 3-and-D starting level wing, and then maybe a backup center. Wouldn't hate a bucket getter off the bench, like a Malik Monk or something like that. Just get somebody that can come off the bench, be that bucket getter for you. That's always... I don't think you really go wrong there, but go into the season, because what if Jake LaRavia's your 6th man and he's averaging 15 a night off the bench or something, right? What if he's the 3-and-D answer and he's your starter? Now Rui's coming off the bench and he's giving you 13 off the bench or whatever, right? What if the Lakers do make the decision, because it is a little clunky with Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, and LeBron James in the starting unit? It's hey, Reeves, come on, man. We really we can't bench LeBron or Luka, so it's we got to do you. Maybe he's willing to, pause, but maybe he's willing to kind of come off the bench and buy into that role, at least for this season, and be hey, we'll get you back in there when LeBron retires type thing, or leaves us, whatever, right? Kind of work that out. What if Jared Vanderbilt's 36% from 3-point range this season, and he's just lighting it up and he's working on his 3-point shot and actually becomes something, right? There's so many things that could end up happening. There's so many potentials. What if Jackson Hayes is just really good in the backup role? And it's yeah, we don't need a backup center. We're good in that regard. DeAndre Ayton gives us 70 games this year, right? Because he's in a contract year, so he wants to make sure he plays and does what he needs to do. Hey, Duke Thero, what if he comes in and is just really good defensively for us, right? There's so many kind of what ifs for the Lakers, right? That, again, I'm okay with them going into the season, kind of answering some of those what ifs. And then now you can make an educated decision on the types of moves and things that you need to make. Maybe even if it is great, maybe there is that, if that trade becomes available, it's what, hey, things are going really good right now, but if we can pull off this move, this would be great. Now you're not coming from a place of desperation, right? Now you're coming from a place of hey, we want this guy. We don't need this guy. There's a big difference, right? There's also the potential it goes the other way, for being honest, which, knock on wood. But there is the potential it goes the other way, where it's just no, we desperately need an Andrew Wiggins or something like that. Now you're calling up Miami hey, Pat, how we're making you a statue? Hey, come on. we what do we make you 2 statues, right? Maybe you throw us a bone with Andrew Wiggins, right? So, again, a lot can kind of happen and develop, so I'm okay with that. But to me, the expiring contracts, those are the real value. I don't really know if the Lakers are going to trade their 1st-round pick, right? If the right move comes along, then possibly. But going into next season, Lakers would have 3 first potentially that they could end up trading. So obviously like that could really put them in play for something. Plus, you still have an Austin Reeves, sign and trade that maybe you could pull off. You got guys like a Dude Thero, and if Jake LaRavia is really good, he's a young guy that maybe you could package, right? Like Lakers could be in a position where they can maybe make a play, around the NBA draft or, post NBA draft. If something presents itself, but Lakers are also trying to preserve cap space for 2027 for a Giannis or a Luka or Giannis or a Jokic. There we go. Pair Luka and Jokic. But, those expiring contracts, those have a ton of value. I don't think the Lakers are going to trade Austin Reeves unless it is for a Giannis or a Jokic, right? Even though I think that they should, but it doesn't matter what I think. It's what the Lakers are actually going to do, which, I at least bring them off the bench is kind of my hope, that at some point, even if they don't do it in the beginning, they do it at some point. But again, stay on path, right? Don't think the Lakers are really going to trade the first round pick. So they're not going to trade Austin Reeves. Okay, so it's like, what's your value, right? And to me, like, it's the expiring contracts. Because again, you have teams like Toronto that already, like, they're even Rich Paul coming out and being like, hey, we kind of fleeced them on that one. We got him, coach, right? Like, and you have Toronto who just got a new GM that's going to want to get off guys. Brooklyn, they're trying to do everything they can to kind of clear the deck. Team like Phoenix, if they end up, being kind of bad, do they go, hey, let's kind of get off of some of these contracts, get off of some of these guys? There's always that team that thought they were going to be good. There's always that team that had those aspirations of, like, being a playoff or a contending team that ends up falling on their face. Hopefully that team's not the Lakers, get knock on wood. But, every year there's that team that just wanted to be good that are like, hey, let's kind of clear the deck, get back to the drawing board, get off of some of these guys, right? We got some vet guys that could make some sense for some of these other teams that actually did kind of be what they wanted them to be. And that's where the Lakers kind of come in and make some play. And then there's always the teams that thought that they were going to be bad that actually are really good. And, every year there's that surprise team that kind of comes out of left field where they're like, wait a minute, like, this is not what we wanted, right? Get a team like Utah that's like, you know what? Hey, we're trying to tank another year and get another piece or something. All of a sudden that could open up for some stuff. Or again, a team like Toronto. Like if Toronto is kind of, running the muck that next year and they're kind of, towards the bottom or a play-in team or something, they could, you got a new GM. He might just go, hey, kind of bite the bullet here a little bit. Let's just kind of clear off some salary, clear the deck a little bit, kind of make some other moves, open up some roster spots, whatnot. So again, that's another kind of argument and reason, if you're the Lakers, to kind of be patient and weigh your odds, right? Because again, those expiring contracts, they're appreciating asset. They're a stock. Right? Like, the longer you hold on and over time, that's going to appreciate. Right? And that's what, Rui and Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber and some of these guys. Also, it'd be good to see, like, which of those expiring contracts would you be comfortable getting off of? Right now, at a glance, it's kind of like, okay, Gabe Vincent, I think you could, especially now with Marcus Smart, I think he makes some sense. You can always just run Jared Vanderbilt at the 2 or whatever off the backup, right? It's all positionless. You're making positions for defensive matchups and purposes anyway, right? Like every time I'm like, just slot in Vando at the 2. People are like, Vando's not a 2. It's like, go look up where he's slotted 90% of the time. Just because he's slot in at the top of the key doesn't mean that he's actually like a 2-2, right? Like no one's expecting him to be a true shooting guard, right? He's there for defensive purposes, right? He's there to be that point of attack. He's defending guards all game anyway, right? So like slot him in there at times off the bench, right? Like, and then that allows you to have like Rui and LaRavia out there on the basketball court, which I do think the Lakers will have those kind of lineups and in different looks and perspective. But you look at guys like, Gabe Vincent, it's like, okay, probably get off of him, especially if Bronny does end up actually getting a role in the rotation. If he's actually going to be a rotation piece, it's like, okay, well, we could, maybe do without Gabe Vincent. Dalton Connect. I know a lot of Laker fans really want Dalton Connect to stick around, but like, where does he slot in? Who is he getting minutes over? Right. And on top of that, it's like he hasn't looked good since being traded and then traded back. So, and he might be one of your more, valued pieces. I know there's kind of conflicting reports about like he is valuable and then he's not valuable. And there were recent reports that like, hey, like teams and executives, stuff like that aren't really putting too much weight into the summer league or lack thereof summer league performance, right? So, that would be good if you're the Lakers, if teams really aren't like, oh man, Dalton Connect was trash in summer league, so therefore we're not giving you anything for him, right? And there's already been reports that they've been able to trade guys like Gabe Vincent and Jared Vanderbilt and stuff like that. They just have held off, right? Now, again, obviously we don't know what those trades were, what those conversations were. It's easy to go like, what are we doing? Like, trade those two. It's another thing to be like, yeah, we're trading those guys plus a first, plus Dalton Connect, plus Austin Reed, plus whatever. Like, again, or you're trading that for just like some random guy where it's like, that doesn't make any sense. Again, like, I know, like, I want to trade. We all want to trade. We all want the Lakers to make a move, but I still stand by, no trade is better than a bad trade. Remain patient. Let things kind of play itself out, right? If teams are willing to trade for Gabe Vincent right now, they'll probably be the same teams, if not more, that are willing to trade for Gabe Vincent as you move into the season, right? You have all kinds of scenarios and stuff that could play out. Got teams like Phoenix that are like, right now, don't really have a point guard. They don't run Jalen Green, but they might just look at it and go like, dude, we need like a Gabe Vincent like badly. Like, let's just get somebody like a Gabe Vincent that can initiate the offense. And now you can pull something off. Or again, maybe they just are terrible this year and they're like, you know what, fine, let's kind of clear some salary, clear the deck a little bit, which again could play into the Lakers. There's several teams that I really do think we need to kind of keep an eye on that as the season progresses are going to probably potentially move off of guys. But no, again, like you look at the Lakers bench, right? Like right now, I wouldn't trade Jared Vanderbilt. I wouldn't. Like, he's kind of one of the guys that's probably, even if he hasn't improved offensively, just because we don't have anybody that covers as much ground on the perimeter defensively, and we're already lack a ton of athleticism, right? The last thing we need to do is get rid of athletic guys, right? Like, so, it's just, again, you look at that situation, like the Rui situation, it's like, okay, you kind of would like to maybe get a upgrade at the 3-and-D wing, right? But like, no, again, there's so many things that could end up developing. Right? Jake LaRavia kind of steps in that role, and it's like, wow, he's a 3-and-D guy. Well, now it becomes more digestible. All of us might just be like, you know what? Okay, we can trade Rui now. Like, Jake LaRavia's younger, he's stepping up, he's playing that role, he's giving you the same production, but he's better defensively, right? Like, there's things that could kind of play out that as this season progresses, we start looking like, hey, what if Ayton's able to stretch out to the 3-point line? Right, and he's had seasons where he's been able to in the past. What if he is able to knock it down with some consistency? Jackson Hayes has been working on his 3-point shot all offseason. I don't think that that's just like he just wants to have fun and take some threes. Like, no, I think, if he's actively working on his 3-point shot, it's probably because the Lakers talked to him about it. And we're like, hey, it'd be nice. Luka wants some pick and pop action. We need you to kind of develop an offensive game outside of just like being a lob threat. So if those two guys can kind of give you some, it's not like Maxi Kleber's a 40+% 3-point shooter, right? Like he's like a career, 35% guy off the top of my head. So he's not like some lights out blazing 3-point shooter. So if like Jackson Hayes and DeAndre Ayton can maybe show that, then maybe again, now it becomes more digestible to trade a Maxi Kleber or whatever, right? So again, there's a lot of things that could develop, not to mention, that just trade that presents itself where it's like, man, hey, we can go get Andrew Wiggins and not have to give up our first. It's like, yeah, go make this trade, go make this move, then we can bring in a couple other guys and kind of revamp this roster. It also depends on how the Lakers look. Right? What if the Lakers are just really good? And it's like, you don't really want to break up that stuff. Or it's like, hey, we're really good, but Maxi Kleber isn't playing at all. And, neither is Jared Vanderbilt, right? Because like LaRavia stepped up and played that role, or Rui kind of, LaRavia, like we're killing it. Kleber's out of the rotation. Rui Hachimura's kind of like the awkward odd man out right now. Let's go take him and Kleber and try to go get an upgrade. Let's go try to get an Andrew Wiggins or something like that. Maybe you're kind of pulling off a deal like that, but we'll kind of see. We'll see how this kind of plays out and progresses. But the expiring contracts are incredibly valuable. Like that's the point that I want to get across to this video, is that those expiring contracts, the longer we can hold out and wait, the better that they'll be. In worst case scenario, they all fall off the books and you have a ton of cap space to go sign a bunch of guys. And there could be a bunch of guys, not stars, but there could be a bunch of like really good role players that could really, you could probably carve out a really nice team. Depending on how much cap space you have, right? And guys, you get the LA, like, hey, yeah, I'm kind of willing to take a little less, that kind of thing. But we'll kind of see how it all plays out. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.